Good Monday morning and welcome to episode 4 of the beginner series. And today we are going to create tables in AL, our own tables. We'll create a table extension and a table interchangeably and maybe an enum just to achieve our custom functionality that is not available in the default application. So please, if you haven't watched the previous 3 episodes, please make sure you watch first, because this is a progressive series and it requires us to go step by step. Because if you unless you're conversant with the topics that have been highlighted there earlier, you should please go back and watch the first 3 episodes before you come to this and proceed. And for that, please stay tuned.
Hii ni Tech na Msangi ya jishinde.com.
Okay, so we are assuming that our client is hosting people in Airbnb, so they have properties and they want to track the bookings, or to record the bookings and the customers who have been coming to their Airbnb apartments. So this is the template for the model for the table that I've drafted. So we'll have 2 tables. One will be the main table that will host the booking. We call it booking table. This is booking. It will have the booking number, the customer, the date, the booking date, and then the date time created, who created it, and then we have this number series field, and then the amount here that will give us the total. Maybe we should have the customer name here as well, and we'll add some fields that will feel important, but at least we have captured the most important fields that are required to make a successful booking. And now for each booking, this particular customer can book as many rooms as possible. That's why this booking number is recorded as a foreign key, and the line number, they'll be foreign keys. And then the house booked will say will state which house you have booked, and then the cost per unit, and then the total, line total, and then maybe here we'll have the amount, which will contain the total, and then maybe the total amount will have maybe a flow field that will add the details of the other small table here. And then I think that's it. And then we'll have this code here. This is a standard code that we use to generate number series. So we'll extend the sales and receivable setups to add our booking numbers. We'll call them booking numbers, and then here we'll also have booking numbers in our sales and receivable setup. Yes, we'll add this field, and then we'll be able to do the work here. Okay, for that now we can go straight to creating the table. I think we remember the snippet is T table, and then you press on tab, and then the ID will be 5101, and then the table name will be booking, and we'll have all the fields now populated in the order. So the first one will be booking number. Let's try and rush this. Booking number will be a code, I believe, a code of it should be 10, and then booking number. The next one is customer, and then the booking date. So we have the customer details. I prefer to make my code a little bit slimmer for the purpose of speed and having a smaller file. Anyway, we'll add this later, and we have like 10 fields here. Let me say 5, 3, 4, 5. So the second field will be the customer, code of 20, I believe, to be safe. And then instead of having data classified, we can say the table relation is customer because we don't need the data classification. Then here the booking field number 3, we can have the customer name, whereas the field will be a text of how many characters? The 100 characters, the text of 100. And then on this customer, okay, we'll add those validations later. And then field number 4, we said will be now the log fields, where it gives us the date created and then the time created. Date, time created. This one should give us actually when was this booking created, and the date time will give us the date and the time at the same time, and the person who created it will log for us under this field with a code of, I believe 20 will be enough. Let's say 30 to be safe. Created by, what have I forgotten? Then number series, amount, status, total amount. So the next field here will be number series. That way, that's how the field should be. This is a number series field, and then the table relation will be number series, and finally we specified the amount, which should be a decimal. I won't put the total amount now because I don't have the last field that is supposed to give us a calc formula, so we can just have this as the decimal. And then finally we'll have the status. Field number 8 will be status, and then it will be an option. It will be the type of option, and then we'll have the field members here. Option caption. First we have the option members, which will be open, approved, and then pending. Come on, it's supposed to be open, pending, and then approved, and then maybe rejected, and then maybe posted or released. And finally the option members. Option caption will be the same, so we don't really need the option caption because it is the same. This is not expected to change, that's why we are not using the enum, because we don't need to extend it. It's a sort of status that will show us the status of the fields. And then the primary key for this table is booking number, and then let's put it here as the primary key. Booking number is the primary key. Then the other thing now, we need to add some properties for these fields. The first one will be the booking number field. The most important, it shouldn't be editable because we need to populate it with a number series. The number series enables you to have a track of a custom fields that will okay, let me say, I don't know, fields, okay, document numbers, and a way of naming your documents in a way that is orderly. Instead of we can have let's say BK booking number, maybe we can have BK0001 as the first booking. Okay, serially arranging your records, and then the second will be BK002 and all that, and it will follow a certain series. So number series enables you to be able to define whichever prefix you want or suffix, and then the number of characters that you want, and we'll see that while creating the series. And editable false. Again, the other one that is editable false should be this one, plus this date also. You don't need to, it shouldn't be editable, even the created by, because we'll populate it from the while creating, we'll auto populate the fields or the data. So here we have this field. We have said it's not editable, the booking number. Okay, so we need to create a number series. There is a specific code that will help us generate the number series. So on validate, we want to make sure that this booking number is not the same as here is the code that we'll use. The booking number, worry not about this syntax. You don't need to cram it. It's more or less a standard syntax that is used for these sort types of extensions, so don't worry about it. So we'll create a table extension for the sales and receivable setups to add these booking numbers so that we can be able to define it. Let me open this sales and receivable setup, sales and receivable setups. So this is a setup that enables us to set up the number series that we want. So here under number series, we want to add, maybe after the direct debit mandate numbers, we want to add our own booking numbers as a number series. And then you see, like this one, it's defining that the numbers should, this is the series code, and the way the numbers should start will be defined here. The starting number is this, and this is the ending number. So we'll also define ours in a series list. So but we need to set up here so that we can allow the user to easily change the series. If they want to change the order of the numbers, they can change it at their own time. And that's why we are adding it here. So we will create a table extension for the sales and receivable setup. So the snippet is table extension. T table extension, and then we'll have 50, I think, number, and then sales setup ext extension. It will extend the sales and receivable setup table, and the fields that we want here, we want a new field, so we are not changing the field. Okay, here is the fields. So we want a new field that we should name. We are using the series that we defined in the launch.json to avoid conflicting with the original table that was set, the way it was set. So we say it's booking nose, like that, with a dot. You can follow that standard, and then it will be a code of 20, and then I think 10. It should be 10, not 20. The number series table has 10 as the default, and then the table relation will be no series. Just that you have extended now this table and added these booking numbers in the sales and receivable setup table. We have added now our own custom field, and we will later on display it. Oh, I've closed it. Yeah, we'll later on display it on the page, and then from there we'll come here and say this is the condition. We are comparing the booking number, the current booking number. If it's not equal to the previous, this xrec sets the previous x record, the previous booking number. So we now need to do a get in this. So the other thing we need to do to add here is define this particular table under our global variables. So we'll say that this is a record of type sales and receivable setups. And the other thing that you need to define, this is no series management. It's a code unit. We also need to define this particular code unit. It's a code unit of now series management, and that's it. Then after defining the code unit, now we can uncomment this. This one tests for the manual to make sure that the number series does not allow manual entry of the numbers. It's only auto-generated. That's why we even stated the editable to be false under the booking numbers. So this number series field is the field that is located in our table here. This is the field. We're still with the same table relation, but so not so important there, but we initialize it to blank if there is a change. And now on insert, the trigger is what happens on insert. This is what we will be doing. It's a standard code as well. We are going to insert the or rather we are going to populate the number series while the user is inserting into our table. And here we go. The trigger on insert is here. So we make sure that the booking number is equal to blank, to make sure that it's blank, and then we'll get this cell setup, and then we test field. Test field will make sure that, where is it? Okay, we don't have it yet, but it will make sure that the user has made a setup for this value. It's a validation to make sure that yes, has the user does it have a value? Like if I remove this value, it means there is no value. So the test field will make sure that there is a value here so that it can't get a blank. It's a validation mechanism. And then this will now initiate the series entry into that the series entry into the field. So the init series, and then here we'll have the booking numbers. I think the number series code, I will put it in the description to just enable people to use it for the purpose of speed. And then I think that's it for the main table. We have the option string with the option members. We also have the number series, which we have defined there. And on the customer now, you know, the name should be generated from the main customer. We don't need to make the user to keep on retyping the name, yet we have it on the customer side. So we'll create a trigger here for onValidate to make sure that the customer, the user is able to get that particular customer. So we'll have a variable here known as customer, which will be a record of customer. So the main thing here is to make sure that the customer is valid by getting. Get will throw an error if there is no value in the customer. The customer name now will be the value that you have got dot name. So whenever the user selects the customer, it will auto-populate this name. That's why this is not editable. And then while inserting, we make sure that the datetime created is populated and the created by is also populated, because this will have default values that should not be changing. So after inserting the number series, we'll just specify that created by is the user ID, as well as datetime created will be the current date time. This will give you the current date time of the system. now we don't need the modify triggers as at now, but you can leave it as that, as the way it is. Now we need to create the booking line table as the last I think assignment for this, but before that we need to extend the enum for the resources, because we need to have rooms. This is how we'll extend our rooms. We have the resources table, the resources here, and we need to add another resource of type person, no, by type room, because we already have the type of person and machine, but we need to reuse this table because it has the key fields that we need. It has the number auto generated, it has the name, it has the type. It also allows us to enter the number that we want if we wish, the search name, a base unit of measure which you can change to night and all that, direct unit cost, indirect cost, unit cost, and all that, plus the total amount and the unit price. So this resource will reuse the resource table as a room. Like we will list our rooms under these resources, because a room is a resource to us, and because since there is also a functionality that is similar to what we want to achieve, there is no need of creating a new table for just rooms. We will reuse that. So the table is needed in this line. Let me just copy this. We really need that resource type here in the line, so I'll come here and add, let me comment. The first thing we'll be extending the resource type enum. So we will create an enum extension, enum extension of, it will be 50 or I think 2 resource type extension. It will extend the resource type to enable us add a new value, which will now use the, remember, we should, in any extension, the value should be the series that we have. We should not use the value that is existing, or like 1 or 2, and then the value will be room. As easy as that. We have extended the resource type, and now it has a new value of room. And finally, and automatically this one will be the last defined value. So now we can create our booking line table, and type table. Just dial TT and then you click on the tab. What's happening? TT and then tab key. 5103, I don't know if I'm guessing. Okay, booking line table. So this table will have several fields. It will have the line number, booking number, and then the house number. So the first one will be the line number, which will be an integer, and then the second one will be, the second field will be the booking number. This one I believe should also not be editable, because we'll see how to populate it. And then the booking number, because we want this number to reference the other table, so we'll call it we have the second field here as booking number. In this table, booking line, booking number will be the same as the booking that we have initiated there on top. So it's good to have the same data type and name. I prefer that, so it will be code of 10, not 20, as I have defined. So here we retain the same convention to make sure that there is data consistency. And this one will be a composite key. The key for this table will be, the primary key will be both line number and then booking number. Sorry, booking number. it will have two keys. So you define a composite key by saying the line number and then the booking number will be the keys for this table. But again, we need to set the line number as the last key defined, and the reason I will explain it later when we are doing the pages. The line number should be the last in your order of keys defined, because we need it to be auto generated. Yeah, that's the reason. Actually, we will have an auto split key while this line number will be auto generated in the pages, so we need it to be the last field on the definition of the primary keys. Then what else do we have? We have the house number, which is, how can I forget that, T field. Let me copy, become lazy a little bit. Now this is the first editable field, the house number. It will be a code of let's give it some allowance because the user is defining it, and then it should be editable, and the default editable is true. So when you leave it as the default, it's editable. And we need to add properties, so it's advisable for me to bring this down. And then the property that we are specifying here is the table relation will be resource, where now the type will be now a constant. So we have machine, person, and room. So we only want to restrict the new table that we have added to only room. So if you add a resource of type room, while the user is doing this calculation, that's when they can get the drop down of that particular table. If it's any other type that is person or machine, they are not able to get it, and they are not able to do anything by that. If we can even add this validate table relation to be true, to enforce that they have to have the room as the resource type that is selected. And maybe we can add a house name here. I said we'll have some new fields, a house name which will be a code of should be a text of 100. Give them some allowance. Do you really need the house name? I don't know, because the room could be descriptive, but we can leave it there, and then we'll get the description. Then the last thing that we need is house number, house name. Where are my fields? I forgot. That's why it's good to prepare the database fields before, like they are forgotten. Cost per unit, number of days, and then line total. So cost per unit, cost per unit will be a decimal. This one will not be editable because the resource will automatically generate it, as well as this house name. It shouldn't be editable because we need to fetch it from the resource table. We have seen that it has the fields to define these particular variables. Editable should be false here, and cost per unit editable is false. What else have we forgotten? And then the line total. Field 6 will have the line total with a decimal, and as well not editable. There we are. So we have our booking line table, which has a composite key. The only thing remaining in this table is now to populate the house name and populate the cost per unit. So when you select the house number, we validate on validate of this particular house number. When the user is validating, so we need to define the resource table as a table. Okay. Let me just use the normal resource. We say let's call it room, because we are calling it we are referring to resources of type room. So we'll call it the room.get, and then if it doesn't get anything from the house number, it will throw an error. We make sure that it has a value that is valid. The get gets the primary key, because this is the primary key as well. And if it has, when you say resource dot, it automatically picks the primary key. So here the table relation will be for the primary key. If you want to be explicit, you can do this resource dot number. But again, we can still stick to resource because it's a table that we will have the number as the primary key. So the room is the resource, we get it, and then we make sure that the room has a name. We can just fill the description. Okay, let me just confirm what resources are called. There is a name. Why am I complicating this? To make sure that there is a name, we also need to make sure that there is a unit price, unit cost. This cost is the buying, and price is, cost is the one that you use to buy, price is the one that you use to sell. So unit price. And because we need to populate the house name to the room name, and the what is it called, the unit, what did I call it here, cost per unit, to the room unit price. So we make sure that they have a value, and then we populate. Could the unit price be 0? Maybe, and other calculations of the discount. So we auto-populate this cost per unit and this particular unit price. And when now they select the cost per unit, or, okay, before the line total, we should have the field of number of days. It's supposed to be number of nights. People sleep at night. Number of nights will be an integer. So this field, this is field number 7. On validate of the field number of nights, when we validate this number of nights, we make sure that it has a value. Maybe we can add some properties of minimum value is 0, and then maximum, okay, we don't have a maximum, so that we don't have a negative. But we make sure that before you do the calculation, if, okay, this is not so important, we'll look at it. Even here we didn't add that particular condition to make sure that this house number is not the same. Doesn't hurt. Dot house number is not equal to house number, to avoid refreshing or validating even when the user has just keyed in the same house number. No, but this one should remain, because they could go and change the unit price and then they want to repeat the same house number. So I can leave it. Even this one not so important. So the minimum value we have said is 0, and then here now the number of nights, so we just need to populate the line total to be the number of nights multiplied by the unit cost per unit, and the line total should not be editable. And that's it for our tables. We have made sure that all the validations are considered. We have also made sure that we have the primary key. We have extended the resource type table to get the enum that we want, and I've used one file for all this to make it as easy as possible for us, and to make it faster for us to get this code up and running. But I'll also post the code in the description if it will be enough, or on my blog I can post it on my website to enable to enable you easily navigate through. And I think the video is long enough for now. I think I'll give you time to reach to this point first before now we can publish the app. Make sure you have no problems in your workspace. Take it step by step, slowly by slowly. I know it's a lot of work to create a table and all that, but take it step by step. It's easy because we are just adding different fields. We are only taking and all the intelligence will be given by the system when you click control space. And if you have an error, make sure you rectify it first before you continue, because you'll not have your intelligence working well. You can see like now when I just remove that semicolon, it's detecting the error. But make sure you have reached here. Practice, practice, practice. Once you have done to this point, now you can okay, I'll wrap it up for this video, but the next video will be now the creation of the page and populating. We'll have the page for the sales and receivable setup, a page extension to add this particular new field that we have created, and then we'll have a list page to list all these bookings, and then we'll have a card page, or okay, we'll have a document page and then a list part page to list the booking lines, and we'll be able to create a new booking and navigate through the system and try and do a booking. And for that video, this being a very long video, please keep practicing and I will see you in the next video, and may God bless you.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so that you don't miss the next one.